Our first Spark presenter is a visionary leader who reimagined the possibilities as a fifth-generation leader in the Dohmen company, innovating to allow biopharma, medical technology, and rare disease companies create healthcare solutions that improve lives. Please welcome CEO, entrepreneur, and community leader, Cynthia LaConte.
Impact. Small word, but it packs a punch, doesn't it? It demands something of us. It says there are problems in the world, so go use your time and talent and solve them. I want to share with you today the impact that I had on my family's 150-year-old business, and maybe a tool that helped guide our transformation from this to this. So, it was 2006, and I was busy running DDN, which was a pharmaceutical logistics company that I'd had the opportunity to start at Dohmen, under the Dohmen umbrella. And we were happily celebrating our 10th anniversary and all the milestones that came with moving from a startup to an $80 million company. So we were pretty proud of ourselves. And the last thing I was thinking about was what was going on over there at the wholesale division and the parent. It just wasn't my problem, right? Until it was. Because that same year, the losses within our wholesale division had gotten so large that they threatened to overtake the entire company. So I got a call from our board. They asked me to step out of the role of president of DDN and into the role of CEO of Dohmen. It was just one little problem. Someone already had that job, and it was my brother. So my initial reaction is like, you're crazy. I mean, I have to live with these people. These are my family, and I have to eat Thanksgiving dinner with them. And, you know, I didn't want to do it, but I knew I couldn't sidestep this. It was a big problem. It was a problem that I had been called to solve. And I knew if I didn't, hundreds of families could be hurt, and the work of generations might be lost. And so I asked the board for a little bit of time to put a plan together, and it was around then that I came across this framework for transformation: preserve, destroy, create. Looks simple, a little bit harder to do, but I think I gravitated towards it because of its simplicity. It allowed me to break down the complexity that I was facing. And so I thought I'd share with you the journey that we went on with Preserve, Destroy, Create over at Dohmen. Let's start with Preserve. Preserve is about looking at your business or your life and looking at the things that are working in it, the things you want to keep, things like vision and values. Simon Sinek calls this the golden circle. I call it understanding your core purpose. Why am I here? You know, why is the business here, and what do we want to achieve? So for me, I knew that I wanted to positively impact our nation's healthcare crisis. We spend double every other country, and yet we systematically end up in the lowest quartile for healthcare outcomes. So I made a commitment within our vision statement to create a more efficient, effective, and easy-to-use health experience. And then we started to name the values of our company, behaviors that we had demonstrated for generations. And once I had those things, vision and values, I started to talk about them constantly to everyone, over and over and over. And what that gave me was two things: a sense of shared purpose throughout the organization, but also it gave me speed. I love fast cars. I love Mario Andretti. In fact, I had my picture taken with him, and he's like this tall, and I'm like this Amazon, so it's a really bad picture. But he said something that stuck with me, and it was this: if everything feels under control, you are not moving fast enough. And so for us, having a firmly planted vision and values, it gave us a way to make decisions quickly. Small decisions like how to answer that customer call, and big decisions like what business we should be selling. And that kind of brings us to this: destroy. And this is the hard part of the formula. It really demands that you look objectively at the things that aren't working. It might be something that's underperforming. It might be something that it's kind of lost its relevance for where the world is heading, or it might be something that puts you at conflict with your vision and values. This was an extremely painful process for us at Dohmen because pharmaceutical wholesaling was the thing that wasn't working. And so, you know, this is how the company had identified itself for 150 years. This is what the leadership looked like for generations. They were pharmacists. They saw the world through that lens. That wasn't me. I mean, when I got the call to join the company, I was 28. I had a degree in merchandising and French, and I had been spending my time in the fashion industry, an industry that thrives on change. And so I brought a completely different toolbox with me to the company. And the upside of that was it allowed me to ask questions like, why are we doing it this way? And it allowed me to look upstream at the biotech manufacturers, at the pharmaceutical manufacturers, while the rest of the company was looking downstream at the retail pharmacy marketplace. The downside was it is a lonely and uncomfortable place to be when you challenge the status quo. You will not win any popularity contest by challenging the status quo, but it is an important and essential aspect of making an impact. So that brings us to create, and this is the fun part of the formula because this is where you get to look out 5 or 10 years. You get to imagine the future and walk backwards from it. Maybe to paraphrase one of my favorite quotes from Gandhi, you get to create the company you want to be. Well, for me, I saw a future of increasingly precise and targeted therapies. And I didn't think that a system that had been designed to mass market blockbuster drugs was particularly well suited to serving the interests of small patient populations. So we started to create that company. 7 years later, 9 acquisitions, 4 divestitures, a tripling of size, expansion operationally into 7 states, rebranding, moving the corporate headquarters, and launching a brand new company. Tons of change. But with change comes risk, and I think our society is increasingly less tolerant of risk. I was at a Starbucks the other day, and seriously, instead of "thank you very much for spending $5 in my store on coffee," this is what I heard. I heard, "be safe." I mean, I'm not sure what that means relative to getting a coffee, but I will say one thing, you are not going to create your future by being safe. You have to take some risk if you want to make an impact. So preserve, destroy, create allowed me a way to think about transforming our business. I was able to preserve the legacy of Dohmen with its vision and its values. I was able to destroy the parts of Dohmen that weren't working, and I was able to create a new business, a vibrant new biopharma services business, but also a foundation that has positively impacted the lives of 123 million people since I started it in 2008. So, not a bad impact, right? So if we acknowledge that this very simple, a little bit harder to do formula can in fact transform a business, what if we imagine the possibilities of applying it to an industry? An industry that, despite doing this, saving millions of lives every year, has somehow ended up here, being actively disliked and mistrusted as an industry by the majority of Americans. So what would we do if we were going to preserve something? I think we'd want to preserve the core purpose of our very powerful industry. And I think that core purpose is about helping people live healthier, more productive lives. Robert Wood Johnson put it in his famous credo, our #1 responsibility is to the people who use our products. And so everything we make has to be of the highest quality and reasonably priced. So I think we'd want to destroy the profiteering and greed and short-term thinking that runs counter to that purpose. And I think we'd want to create an industry where it is rewarded for the groundbreaking innovation that it can bring to market over incrementalism. So industries aren't monoliths. They're made up of people, like the people in this room, people that make individual decisions. Everyone here today has the power to positively impact the world around us. So as you go out and enjoy the rest of the conference, go out to your busy world, I would ask you to identify and preserve your core purpose. Destroy the things in your life that run counter to that purpose, and create the vision that you want to see. And oh, by the way, I can still eat Thanksgiving dinner with my family.